less like this. The first part is hosted by QBS colleagues, where we cover, of course, the Wave 1 release for Business Central, some other important new features or other news, something about changes regarding licenses and discounts. And after that, I will hand it over to Chris Park from QBS Group, who's covering the M365 and Power Platform. And as Sander mentioned, at the end, we will hand it over to Linda from E1 for that part, which is hosted by the ISV. Let's dive into it. Microsoft has released a summary overview video of the 2020 release Wave 1 of Business Central. It's available in public on YouTube. And it's a nice summary which is covering all the most important new features of Business Central. And hereby we share you the link. And of course, we will go through a few of the features announced to highlight them for you. Those are more or less divided into features for the improved usability, some new features for better tools for admins and partners, and some enhanced application features. First, the improved usability. The Business Central Role Center has a new addition that complements the manual navigation. We are all familiar with the Role Explorer, and users can now open the Role Explorer and start typing they are looking for, and then the text will be highlighted. So in this example, when you're looking to go through currencies right away, just type currencies and the right menu will be highlighted. Printing directly to a printer is now possible from the modern desktop clients. The setup that you make on the printer management page allows you to control which device to print to, including to Cloud Printer, as defined by extensions. In this version, so the new version, a predefined email printer extension is installed and ready for customers to use. And it's good to know that this supports major print manufacturers that enable email printing scenarios. So you're now capable of direct printing even to cloud printers. And also good to know, both Microsoft and partners are creating additional extensions for additional cloud printing technologies. And those can be found on AppSource, of course. There's now also a step-by-step visit which walks you through the process of importing profiles in simple steps. You can just select a profile package to import. You exported it from your own environment or whatever, or a template environment, and then you're able to import it, and you get a new overview of which profiles are in the package, and you can decide whether you want to overwrite any profile in your environment that have the same profile ID, for example. When personalizing pages in Business Central, users can show a hidden part on any page. In the past, when you choose for hidden a certain part on the page, you were not able to show it anymore. Now it's fixed, and this unlocks two common scenarios. Business users can personalize their page and bring back a part that they have previously hidden. And developers can now choose to place secondary content on a page object and then hide it, giving their customers a simple starting point with the page and the ability to unhide that content if it's relevant to their business process, for example. The web client in Business Central introduces links allowing users to traverse to different entities from a list, which means that you're now able to open a related card from a list. So if you're in the customer list or sales invoices list, for example, you can now select and view the actual card of a customer of an item if you're on a sales order, for example. Normally, you had to choose show full list and then edit one, and then you saw the information. Now it's available at a glance. And the desktop client adds full support for page objects that are composed of multiple parts, such as list parts or card parts. This was already possible, for example, on a role center or a Factbook pane, but the canvas of other page types wasn't optimal for displaying parts alongside other content. For example, if you go to the bank account reconciliation page, where you have two parts, then the UI parts or UI elements could be a little bit overlapping, for example, and that's now being fixed. It's now also possible to bookmark reports. So if you're searching for a certain report which you're going to use more frequently in the future, you're now able to bookmark that report, and then it will be shown right on your role center next to customers, vendor, items, bank accounts, and so on. In the new version, you're now also able to work with collapsing and expanding the rows. So users will experience a new level when working with the data tree. You can easily drill down and back out again, both with keyboard and mouse. And for example, it's a great way also when you have this more or less tree functionality built in your chart of accounts, for example. Next up, similar to Microsoft Excel, you now have the function to key. This key toggles between selecting the field's entire value and moving to the end of the value. So now you're you're capable to very efficiently change between selecting the whole value or just go to the end. So if you're going to edit or add something to a certain field, you now have the option to do that efficiently through the keyboard. When you're creating filters that use expressions, such as a date range, for example, you can now toggle the filter field to display either the expression or the corresponding value. So if you're used to use filters with the corresponding values, you can do that. If you're more experienced with the expressions, you can do that as well. Some new possibilities regarding the application. You can now use resource as a line type on purchase documents. That makes sense because, of course, there are a lot of companies who, for example, hire external people on certain projects. Now it's out of the box available in Business Central to use purchase orders, for example, for those type of line types. So you're able to use the resource type on purchase order, invoices, and credit memos, and post-purchase transactions with it. A very useful new feature is that you're now able to populate the documents layout page for vendors and customers based on settings on the report selection page. What does that mean? You're now able to send specific documents to specific company contacts. So for example, you're able to configure that you want to send your sales quotes to the purchase people on your customer side, of course. And for example, you want to send your invoices to the finance department, and maybe you want to send customer statements or reminder also in the CC to someone else. You can set it up on the customer or vendor document layout card, and then when you're sending quotes, invoices, or whatever, it will be automatically sent to the email addresses configured over here. So that's very useful. A very small feature, but very handy, is you can now receive a quantity higher than the ordered quantity. I know that a lot of partners had changed it themselves, but now it's available out of the box in Business Central. So there's an over-receive policy where you can say, okay, up to 1, 2, or 5%, for example, you're able to do an over-receive. You're now able to easily undo shipments and receipts right from the document. So with just one click, you can undo a receipt or shipment. Very useful for end users. Then I would like to highlight some tools for the admins and or the partners. It's now easier to manage, for example, the permissions and permission sets, because you as an admin or the partner or whatever are getting notifications when certain permission sets are in conflict with the license type, for example. So if you're creating a permission set, assign it to people with a team member license, and there are permissions within that set which covers tables which is not supported by the team member license, you already get notified upfront before assigning those permission sets to those users. So yeah, then you avoid situations where team members get a lot of errors, for example, based on their license. So a great addition. And there's now an easy to follow wizard for syncing your user information between the Office 365 Management Portal and Business Central. Like you maybe know, you have to use the same information from your Office 365 portal, and you're now able to sync it more easily. Before this new feature, you had to do it manually. And users do now have the insights in the number of records and also the record sizes for the tables within Business Central. So if you're analyzing, for example, performance, you're now able to see the size of certain records or certain tables and also the number of records. So it could give you a little bit of insight where to look and which tables are, for example, growing very heavily. A great new feature is that you're now able to cancel long-running operations or application jobs. You as a user will be presented with a progress window that shows the number of process roles with the option to cancel the entire operation. We are familiar with it, for example, in the old Windows client, and it's now available in the Windows client as well. A typical scenario is the ability to cancel reports or long-running batch jobs. But this feature extends to canceling other long-running operations such as bulk posting as well. Sometimes canceling a session is the only way to unblock a customer. For example, a long-running report is locking data in a table. You're now able to go through the Business Central Admin Center as an admin, and you can see a list of active sessions in a certain environment, and you're able to cancel them from there. So great management possibilities over there. That was more or less the highlights of the summary of the video, which cover a lot of new features of the release. But of course, there's more. Just a few one. When users display a page right across the screen, they will now benefit from more compact page captions and reduced gray space along the sides. For those already having a lot of experience with the web client, there was a lot of space unused, and that they fixed it now, so it is more using the whole screen availability. Business Central admins have the option to disable features that allow users to export data to Excel. So if you are forced to do that, for example, for security reasons, you now have the availability to block Excel exports. And users will find that the pages they use often are now quicker to open. I've informed you in earlier webcasts about that, named it hosting, for example. And the structure of the page is shown first. So when you are launching a page, it will show up immediately, showing the structure, so empty fields. So that gives context until the data is loaded. And technically in the background, the rendered page is cached the first time it's opened. The next time you open the page, it will immediately render from the cache and then loading the latest data from the service. So that gives the end users a snappier feel that Business Central is a little bit quicker. When you have set focus to a record in a list, for example, and then copy or share the URL, you're now able to point directly to a certain record in a list. And it's the same for saving views. If you have created a, for example, a list with some filtering and you're sharing the URL with a colleague, then you get the same overview. Existing recurring sales or purchase line is extended now to automatically insert on documents. So the recurring sales or purchase lines that are set up for a customer or vendor will now automatically insert. And if there are more recurring sales lines or purchase line, you get a prompt to choose from. Administrators can use the new feature management page, where you are more or less able to decide which users in your tenant are going to use the new features, for example, in a first release cycle, just comparable with Office 365. And as the last one, the custom integration with the accommodator service is enhanced, and Microsoft also made a very useful walkthrough available. So if you don't have experience with the accommodator service and Business Central, you're able to do so in a very easy way, just on entry level. And this walkthrough describes how to customize an integration between Business Central and accommodator service. For example, synchronizing a employee in Business Central with the entity worker in the accommodator service, just as a quick entry level walkthrough. And of course, there's many, many more. And the links shown in the presentation will work if you get the handouts. And please have a look over there if you're interested in more of the features. Then I would like to end with a few other news regarding Business Central. So first is the Business Central attach model. That means that from now on, Business Central is part of the Dynamics attach model. What does that mean? No change to the Business Central's queue itself. But if you're using Business Central licenses, either Essentials or Premium, since April 1st, you're now able to attach a Dynamics 365 sales or customer service license to it. And it can be attached to both Premium and Essentials, like I mentioned before, for $20, and in euros, it's something like 70 euros or so per user per month. So that gives you as a partner great upsell opportunities. Next up is the Business Central Cloud Storage. Maybe you're familiar with the fact that up until now, the tenant limit was limited to 80 gigs. And since April 1st, you're able to buy additional storage for $40 a month per gigabyte. And that pricing is aligned with the rest of the portfolio of Microsoft. And yeah, it's still very questionable because $40 a gigabyte a month is way overpriced, if you ask me. But yeah, if Microsoft is hearing that a lot more from the market, maybe they'll have a look to that as well, hopefully. Then the timeline for major updates. We cover it a few times in earlier versions of the webcast, but it makes sense to highlight it just once more, because 2020 Wave 1 release is available since April 1st. General availability, maybe not in your tenant, but the GA is 1 April. And then normally you have 30 days to schedule your update. And due to the current times in the world, Microsoft decided to give everyone a 30 days additional. So you now have a 60-day upgrade window to go through BC version 16, which is the new release. The version for on-prem is also available since yesterday or the day before. And you find the link in this slide where you can grab the latest version. And then some news regarding the migrations to Business Central. I highlighted it before, but customers will use Business Central April on-prem can load the cloud migration extension, which is the intelligent cloud, and migrate their data to Business Central 2019 release wave 2 online. So just to be sure, I explain it once more. It's not available to upgrade or go from your on-prem to the new release, but to the full release. But they skipped the required upgrade to go to Business Central 15 on-prem, which was a required step before. So now you're able to go directly from Business Central 14 on-prem to Business Central 15 on SaaS. Also, there are a lot of enhanced migration tools for the migration from GP to Business Central. And I know it does not make that much sense in the Netherlands, for example, but for our partners in the UK or as I heard in South Africa, it makes a lot of sense. So it's good to know that we have the intention to create a dedicated webinar for this. And we will inform you, of course, and then we're going to host a dedicated webinar on all the possibilities to go from GP to Business Central. You will be informed about that later on. Then my last slide. We informed you heavily over and over again in the last months about the 10% discount drop. And now the discount drop didn't drop actually, because literally the evening before April 1st, Microsoft announced to postpone it. So the 10% discount drop on the SPA licenses of 10% is now postponed until October 1st. And it's good to know that we will inform you on the procedure for ordering intakes in the last days in September, just like we did for the planned version for April, because then we said, okay, the last day of March, be aware of our handling time and so on, but we will inform you about that later on. And with that, I would love to hand it over to Chris Parks, but before doing that, let's have a quick check at Sander if there are any burning questions to cover now.
Thank you, William, but there are no any questions until now, so thank you so much. And Chris, I want to give the mic to you.
Thanks, Sander. And thanks, William, for that presentation. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to cover today 3 things, particularly on this call. One is a cloud business applications competency update. 2 is around team member license restrictions, what we talked about on the call last month, and an extended deadline update for that. And 3 is a list of other licensing enforcement deadline extensions from Microsoft. For those of you who don't know me, would like to know more about my background, please connect with me on LinkedIn, or read up on what I've done there. So first and foremost, for the last sort of 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I've been just monitoring the announcements that Microsoft have made and what they've put out in market. There was actually a blog post from Gabriela Schuster, who heads up the Microsoft Partner Network, on the 2nd of April, which covered many things there around Microsoft's response to COVID-19. One of the items on that agenda was the Cloud Business Applications Competency, which had a couple of very specific things revised in terms of timeframes and dates. The link to the blog post is there on the slide and will be included in the distribution afterwards. I recommend that you briefly familiarise yourself with all of the items in there. For awareness purposes. There was information also on Microsoft Teams and other core applications that you will use within your business, as will your customers. For me, the most important piece for this call was the fact that a new date had been set for the partner contribution indicators, or the PCIs, to take effect. As part of the requirements for the Cloud Business Applications competency. The date for this is now April the 21st, 2021. The baseline snapshot for the functional consultant metric has also been pushed back from March the 31st until October the 1st, 2020. So the indication is, for now, the existing revenue thresholds and the number of certified staff will continue to be used to measure competency eligibility, although that wasn't explicitly stated. The revised exam requirements, so the new and updated exams, it does state that they will be applicable and that they will be required for certifications of staff, just for awareness. So that's the first thing. Again, there's a link to the page there if you wanted to check up on the specific details yourself within your organizations. Secondly, we talked on the last call about the Microsoft enforcement of previously paper-based licensing restrictions for team member SKUs in Dynamics 365 for sales, customer service, etc. And that licenses purchased after October or from October 2018 were no longer going to be able to access the customer service hub, the sales hub, or any custom applications. This was to ensure team member licenses could not be misused to access full features and functionality at a fraction of the price, and help ensure that customers stayed license compliant. We discussed that new apps were being created to ensure that customers were technically, they would technically not be able to be non-compliant. Now, that was originally scheduled to happen after the end of March 2020. The license enforcement was due to be turned on from the 2020 release wave build 1. So the time frame for this has been revised. Initially, a grace period until the end of June 2020 and then the end of September 2020 had been stated. However, Microsoft stated in order to help facilitate a smooth transition, customer instances created prior to April 2020 have now been granted a grace period until the 31st of January 2021. So quite a significant kind of extension there. If any of your customers have a need or a desire to validate the enforcement experience, so what that will look like once the enforcement is turned on. Early customer organizations that have opted for the 2020 release wave 1 in the admin center can turn the experience on at any organization or instance level via logging of a support request through Microsoft, a new support request. So note that the privileges, the create, read, the update, and the delete restrictions that will be enforced are not enforced in the experience. It is the team member app experience only, as clearly stated in their FAQs. So again, the link there around the team member license for more information should you need is available. The third thing, the final thing to kind of cover today in this update is around the licensing enforcement deadline extensions that have been announced. So upcoming enforcement deadlines, these have been updated in response to the ongoing COVID-19 crisis to help ensure customers' business continuity with Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Power Platform during this time. So the enforcement deadline changes are team member licenses acquired prior to October 2018 can now be renewed up until the 31st of December 2020. That's extended from June the 30th. This also means, so the impact of that is from January the 1st, 2021, all renewing customers will need to transition to the new team members licenses. Next up, the existing Dynamics 365 storage and production sandbox use rights can be renewed up until the 31st of December 2020, again extended from June 30th, 2020 for 6 months. So customers can continue using their existing storage and Dynamics 365 instances. Renewals after that date will need to be on the new storage model, but not until the first renewal point after that date. Existing customers can continue also to renew their portal use rights until the 31st of December 2020, extended from June the 30th. This is massively important if you've got customers that are running particularly in a business to consumer or B2C environment where the new pricing models for portals actually makes the solution kind of expensive, often to the point of not being usable. And I think the extension there will hopefully help partners in that, with customers in that situation, further evaluate additional options, or potentially give Microsoft time to review that again. All renewing customers will need to adhere to the new portal licensing use rights as of January 1st, 2020. So finally, the Dynamics 365 plan, the customer engagement plan, and the unified operations plan, those were withdrawn, and the announcement was announced at sort of Inspire last year. Those renewals can now use qualifying offers to transition to the attached model up until June the 30th, 2021. Again, extended from June the 30th, 2020, but for a period of 12 months in this instance. Partners are advised to work with their customers to create a transition plan in preparation for the new licensing model.
A comer, Gonzalo, corre. ¡Qué rico!
The pleasure of working from home during the crisis and forgetting to put yourself on mute. Thank you for that amusing interlude. So finally, partners are advised to work with their customers to create that transition plan. The only other thing to note here is that the above SKUs will auto-renew on CSP and WebDirect up until the 31st of December 2020, as will Power Apps Plan 1 and Plan 2, and Flow Plan 1 and Plan 2. So that's all that I have from this month. I'd just like to wish everyone on the call best of health. Please stay safe. And to say thank you for your time and for listening in, and to hand over to Linda from E1 Solutions, who's going to talk about how their smart integration options for Business Central and Nav can help.
Okay, hi everybody. Thank you. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So thank you and QBS for inviting E1 to join your monthly partner meeting. A little bit about the company. E1 was formed in 2001 and has been providing mature and robust integration solutions for 18 years. We focus on the dynamic suite of products. However, you can integrate virtually any database with any database, provided you can make a connection to it. We offer two great products for NAV and Business Central customers, our Smart Connect product and our PopDoc product. Our headquarters are in Fargo, North Dakota, with offices in Austin, Texas, Sydney, Australia, and we have offices in both Copenhagen, Denmark, and Den Haag in the Netherlands. We maintain 3 separate and distinct data centers, one in the EU, a UK data center, and a US data center that also manages Canada. We're going to start with Smart Connect, which is our no-code solution for building complex integrations. Coding is still an option for when a situation may require it, but the product can be implemented by a consultant with no coding required. These are the 4 main components of Smart Connect. It allows you to connect to any source and target database, transform the data as it moves from the source to the target, and then trigger the integration to work when it's needed. You see some of our standard connectors here, but the list is constantly growing, and you can build out your own connectors with our REST Web Services connector. Smart Connect is delivered in 2 different deployment models, smartconnect.com, our full SaaS solution, and Smart Connect on-prem. If all of your business systems are in the cloud, then smartconnect.com is the obvious choice, since you just sign up and start integrating. And this model is preferred by most Business Central customers. But if you or your client prefers an on-premise solution, we offer Smart Connect on-prem, our flagship product, and this is preferred by most NAV customers. Either product will integrate to both online and on-premise products, so you can choose which deployment is best for your customer scenario. And since the product is sold as a SaaS subscription, you can deploy online, on-prem, or both for a single monthly fee. Well, Smart Connect actually moves data between applications. PopDoc gives you the ability to view live data from one application while you're sitting in another. Oops. It's a no-code multi-platform user query solution, which is built for day-to-day reporting and process management. With PopDoc, users can pull data from any data source, whether online or on-premise, and define powerful interactive reports. These can be viewed from within the PopDoc user interface or embedded in their solution of choice. PubDoc is not for large data sets or big data that you would use Power BI or Jet Reports for. This is for small, actionable data that you need right now to perform a particular task. For Business Central customers, this product gives them the ability to view and combine historical data from their legacy ERP system. So if they're moving out of NAV into Business Central, they don't have to migrate 10 years of their data into Business Central. They can use PubDoc to view, contrast, compare that data between both systems. There are 5 key features of PubDoc that we want to draw your attention to, but the feature our customers love the most is the ability to embed widgets into other applications. We have more than 60 connectors for PubDoc, and the number is growing every day. And here's an example of Business Central data, which is embedded in Dynamics 365 Sales, allowing salespeople to easily view sales data from Business Central while remaining in their familiar work environment. And again, this is live data that's being brought in. So I've given you a few examples of when you would use Smart Connect to integrate your data and when to use PubDoc to view your data. I'm sure that you can think of many other examples within your customers' practices where you would use these products. And we rely on you as partners to configure these products to automate your customers' businesses, to give them access to the data they need when and where they need it. To learn more about our product pricing and partner program, contact me before April 20th to schedule a one-on-one session. We're holding online training boot camps in April and May, and you're going to receive an email soon with the dates and details. If you schedule a session with me before April 20th, we'll give you free admission to one of our boot camps. And here are my contact details along with those of my colleague Ethan Sorensen. Together we make up your European team. I look forward to hearing from you, and thanks again for your time. Sander?
Hey, Lena, thank you so much. That was short, but I think very informative. Let's see if there are any remarks, questions. No, there aren't. So, okay, well then, for me, the final word. Thank you again so much for joining this Dynamics 365 update webcast, and I hope it was very helpful. I thought it was very helpful anyway. The session that has been recorded, and the link will be shared together with the PowerPoint slides per email after this session. And hopefully we see each other in the next planned webcast, which is planned on the 7th of May. So see you then, and for now, stay safe. Thanks so much. Bye bye.